Sai Ram. Let me begin by sharing a very interesting story that I heard once. There was a master who was giving a satsangh, a talk to all his disciples. They were seated in one of the top floors of a building and he was discoursing them and they were listening to him with rapt attention. That was when suddenly the building began to shake because it was evident that there was an earthquake happening at that place. The disciples got panicky, fidgety, they were filled with fear. They all got up and everybody immediately rushed down the stairs to get out of the building, because that is what you have to do when an earthquake strikes, right? Get out of any building and go to an open area where the chances of you getting injured by falling debris is the least. They all came out of the building. Thankfully, the earthquake wasn't such a big one and the building didn't fall down. And once the earthquake had passed, the disciples suddenly realized that their master was not with them. Oh, where is the master? He's still inside the building. So they rushed back inside, climbed up the stairs, went to the room, and there they saw the master, seated on his chair, eyes closed, calm and serene and peaceful. And when they came, he opened his eyes, and all these disciples, all these devotees were filled in wonder at the master. They said, "Master, it's amazing how you are so fearless." The master smiled at them and said, "I am not fearless. I felt as much fear as any of you. But then you didn't run at all." "Who says I didn't run? I ran." And then the master says, "The difference is all of you ran outside, I ran inside. You all ran out, I ran within." There is a famous quote which says that man has explored thousands and millions of miles in outer space but hasn't moved even an inch in the inner space. We are so busy running outside, collecting money, power, influence, relationships, everything outside, that we have totally ignored what is inside. But where Swami is concerned, he would say that Sai stands for see always inside. Swami is concerned only with what is within, not what is outside. And that is why for Swami it never mattered how rich we are. It never mattered how influential we are. Please excuse me for using the past tense when I say for Swami it never mattered. When I am saying past tense, it is obvious that I am referring to the physical frame. Because sadly, I am also more concerned with the outside. I am also on this journey towards moving inside. Because when I move inside, I will never refer to Swami in the past tense. I will always refer to him in the present tense, because Swami is. Swami was, Swami is, Swami will be. Swami is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, and where can he go? Where will he go when he is everywhere? In every moment of time, in every inch of space. So yes, I too am on a personal journey of moving within, seeing inside, seeing always inside. Swami never bothered about wealth, he never bothered about power, he never bothered about our influence. Adi Shankaracharya says in the Bhaja Govindam, "Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam harati nimeshat kalas sarvam." Do not have pride over your dhana, your wealth, your jana, your influence, your yauvana, your youth. Because time, kalas sarvam, harati nimeshat kalas sarvam, time can snatch it all away in one moment. One earthquake and all your wealth is gone. One sudden stroke, you're dead, and what about youth then? But what Swami cared about is the inner wealth. In the first chapter of his Sutra Vahini, Swami mentions the sadhana chatushtaya, meaning the foursome of sadhana. What are these foursome of sadhana? The first is viveka or discrimination. The second is vairagya, detachment. The third is shad sampatti or the sixth, wealth. And the fourth is mumukshatva or the intense yearning for God and liberation. Why I refer to this is because Swami mentions about the shad sampatti or the six forms of wealth that he cares about. What are they? Sama or control of the mind. Dhamma, the control of the sense organs. Why? Because you cannot control the mind until you control the sense organs. The mind is pulled by the sense organs in different directions. It is like a chariot with 5 horses. Each sense pulls the chariot in one different direction. Swami says the third wealth is uparati, to withdraw our senses from the outside world and turn them inward. Look at everything and everyone with atmic consciousness. That is the true way to look at everything. The fourth sampatti or wealth, Swami says, is titiksha. Titiksha means forbearance. You are able to forgive easily. And this comes from having that atmic vision or atmic consciousness where we realize that everyone is the same divine. The fifth wealth, Swami says, is Shraddha. Shraddha or complete faith, unwavering faith. See, for some time we may be able to consider everyone as divine and be loving towards everyone, but possibly that lasts only for a few hours or 1 or 2 days. Then we are back to square one. That is where we need this Shraddha, this complete faith. Even though life experiences may make us feel that people are mean, they cannot be divine. People are terrible. They are so jealous. They are so filled with anger. They are so filled with hate. They are such horrible people. We feel like that. But we need to have complete faith that all said and done, everyone is divine. That's why Shraddha is the fifth wealth. And the sixth wealth, Swami says, is Samadhana or equanimity. These are the forms of wealth that Swami looks for in us. Not our worldly wealth, not our worldly power and influence. If we look at any aspect of Swami's life and Swami's teachings, it's always about going inside, going within. I remember as a class we got an opportunity to put up a drama in Swami's physical presence for Independence Day on the 15th of August. I am saying 1947 out of sheer habit because that is the year when India got independence from the British rule. India became a sovereign independent nation. But this was the Independence Day in 2004. And at that time, Swami taught us that we cannot say we are independent just because we are having a democracy and we are having our own government. No. Swami said true independence is Swarajya. Swarajya is a Sanskrit term for independence. And what is the meaning of that? Swa meaning Atma. Swa is the Atma. And Rajya means rule. So when the Atma rules, that is true independence. Swami said, independence is independence. When we are not dependent on anything external and dependent only on what is within, then only can we say we are independent. For example, when I get a holiday, I think that tomorrow is a holiday, let me have fun, let me enjoy. So I think let me begin the day with an awesome breakfast. Masala dosa, which is my favorite. And then after that breakfast, let me go and play some shuttle badminton, that's my favorite game. And then let me watch some of my favorite TV shows. Let me then go and meet a friend. Wow, the day is so filled with happiness, it's wonderful. Right? This is how we do. But then, when I look at it, how much of my happiness is dependent on external things? What if there is more salt in the masala dosa. Gone my happiness. What if the badminton court is shut because of, say, like a COVID pandemic that's happening now? My happiness is gone. What if there's a power cut or the TV is not working? My happiness is gone. What if my friend is out of station and I can't visit him or her? My happiness is gone. That is why I am not independent. I am dependent. I am a slave. I am dependent on so many external things. That is why Swami tells us that we have to have Swarajya, the rule of the Atma. I have to be independent to become truly independent. This is just one example. Anything. When Swami spoke about Seva, Swami would share a little story, a Chinna Katha. He has done this many times. I am quoting from the discourse on the 3rd of June 1986, where Swami says that there was a calf that was stuck in the slush and it was struggling to get out of it. And there were some street boys around the calf having fun seeing the calf struggling. That is when a person comes along, he jumps into that slush, into that muddy pool, wades into it, picks up that calf and comes out. And then all these boys who were laughing at that calf ask him, why did you do it? We were having fun seeing the calf stuck in the mud like that. Are you trying to do some big seva by helping the calf? And the man folds his hands to the boys and says, forgive me, I don't want to deprive you of your fun. But I didn't do this to save the calf or help the calf. Then, why did you do it? Seeing the calf struggling like that, there is so much of intense pain in my heart. To relieve the pain in my heart, I jumped into the slush and pulled out the calf. I didn't do anything for the calf. I did it for my own heart. And Swami would say, this is how seva is done. When you are doing seva, if you think that you are helping somebody, if you think that you are uplifting somebody, that you are a giver and they are a receiver, if you are at a higher level, they are at a lower level, then that is not seva at all. Because for Swami, it was all about the inside. It was all about the individual transformation. It is all about that. It is about what happens inside, not what's outside. Swami had once thrown away a check worth lakhs of rupees. But at the same time, he lovingly received a brown cover from a poor man. I mean, nobody knew that he is poor. But later on, to one of the professors who was in the interview room with him, Swami told him to open this cover, and he saw that there was a counterfoil for 10 rupees. 10 rupees, that's not even $1. And Swami said, this person, one day in a month, gives up his meals so that he can contribute this to Swami's trust, to Swami. And when I say Swami's trust, people do it because they feel it is Swami. We have to remember that. And Swami told this professor to never forget this. And we are grateful to Professor Sudhir Bhaskar for sharing this experience with all of us, because it shows us that the Lord values what is within. That's it. The feeling is what matters. It's not about quantity, it's about quality, because it's about what is within. For Swami, it's always about the individual. We think that Swami set up big institutions. He set up a hospital and he got doctors to run the hospital. No. It's wrong to think that Swami set up a hospital and then got doctors. Swami wanted to give an opportunity for the doctors, and therefore he set up a hospital. Swami saw the yearning in the hearts of students and teachers and wanted to give them an opportunity to grow individually, to grow on the inside, and therefore he set up a university. And that is why in the book Conversations with Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, to Dr. John Hislop, Swami says that if there are no sufficient people coming and using the center, if nobody is coming to the Sai center, shut it down. No need. Because Swami was not about numbers at all. Swami never tells him that if people are not coming, go and get more people. No. At the same time, Swami tells him that even if one person is coming and benefiting from the center, keep it open. Tell me, does it make economic, logical, any kind of sense to keep one whole center open for the sake of one person or two people? It makes divine sense for Swami, because Swami is here for the individual. Swami didn't come for the world. He came for you, he came for me, he came for every individual. And because all of us are in the world, we can say that Swami came for the world. But Swami is not about the organization. Swami doesn't think, he's not about the world. He's about each individual devotee. That is why we have to grow in our one-on-one connection with him. The organization, the institution, everything is here to help that. Professor Kasturi, in his book Loving God, records a beautiful experience. I think this happened in 1948 or 1949. The Pata Mandiram days, when Swami was living in the old mandir. At that time it was the new mandir. Today we call it the old mandir. So every full moon night, full moon evenings, Swami would take all the devotees who were there might have been about 50 or 100 devotees, to the sands of the Chitravati river, to the banks of the Chitravati river, and that would be a Chitravati session filled with miracles and beautiful moments. Professor Kasturi records that on one occasion, Swami seemed to be, in quotes, upset with the devotees. The Chitravati session was not happening. That is when all the other devotees, they saw that Kasturi had come. And he was a new devotee. He had come just a year or two ago, and they felt that he is Swami's favorite. All these foolish assumptions that we make. We think someone is more dear to Swami, someone is there whom Swami doesn't like. All this is pure, unsullied rubbish. Swami's love is equal and for all. And the way Swami measures love is totally different from the way we measure love. That's why we are not able to understand it. Anyway, these devotees told Professor Kasturi, you please ask Swami, can he take us to Chitravati? And so Professor Kasturi goes to Swami and says, Swami, today is a full moon night and it will be nice to go to Chitravati. Now Swami is walking from the western side of the mandir to the eastern side, and then back from the eastern side to the western side. He is pacing up and down the hall, and Professor Kasturi and a few other devotees are walking up and down behind him, because that was how accessible Swami was in those days. When Professor Kasturi tells this, Swami turns to him and asks, why Chitravati? Isn't there enough sand nearby that we can't sit here? Those were the days when the Prashanti Nilayam ashram, not the ashram, the mandir was under construction, and therefore there was a lot of sand nearby. When Swami said this, and Swami started walking back towards the west, Professor Kasturi again is following him, and he tells, yes Swami, why not? Let us sit on the sands nearby here only, let's not go till the Chitravati, no problem. He thought something is better than nothing, right? And then Swami said, turning to him, do you think that I need sand to do everything that I do? At that point in time, another devotee stepped in and he said, oh Swami, you can do from thin air itself. Let us sit here only then and let's have a session. Swami seemed disappointed. He turned around to all of them and said, miracles, miracles, miracles. Always you want miracles. Don't you realize that you are my biggest miracle? And Professor Kasturi after that writes, me? His biggest miracle? Yes. Swami's biggest miracle is you and me. Because we are him. We are divine. We have just forgotten our identity. Swami would say that I am God and so are you. The only difference is I know it, you don't know. And that is the sole purpose of the avatarhood, to teach us Satya. Swami would say, Sathya Sai has come to teach Satya. And Sathya Sai Organization too, the sole job of the organization is to teach this Satya, this truth. That each one is divine, and for that we have to go within. Have to go within. We need not feel somebody is more lucky, somebody is unlucky. All of us have the same strength. That's why God's love is equal on all of us. Because He is not judging us by the way the world is judging us. He is judging us on what goes on within, and within all of us are the same. He has given all of us the same strengths. After Swami left his physical body, after the Mahasamadhi, then I was part of Radio Sai Global Harmony, which today has been changed to Sathya Sai Media Center. And at Radio Sai, one of the most important and the most important thing what I felt we were doing was collecting Swami's legacy. The different videos, the different audios, and most importantly, Swami's personal handwritten letters and notes. I felt that this was the greatest treasure. This is Swami's legacy. This is the way we preserve Swami's life and message for thousands of years to come. The Sri Sathya Sai Archives was also built by a large-hearted devotee. At that point in time, we faced many difficulties in getting all this material in one place. And I was thinking, Swami, what is this, Swami? Everything is ready, but why is all the material not coming into the Sathya Sai Archives? Why is the Sathya Sai Archives not becoming a phenomenal body that it is meant to be? When I was thinking like this, Swami blessed me with a beautiful dream, a very, very significant dream, and I'm sharing it only because I feel it has a message for each and every one of us. So in the dream, Swami was seated in a bedroom on his bed, and all around him there were lots and lots of papers, handwritten papers with Swami's own handwriting. And I entered this room and I was like, oh, wow, Swami, you're sitting with all the archive treasure. And then you know what Swami says? Swami says, I will teach you how to preserve this. I was thrilled because, as I said, we were looking at ways of preserving it for thousands of years to come. I said, Swami, please show me how to preserve it. Swami picked up one paper. It was old, yellowed. It was brittle. It was crumpling. And then to my utter horror, Swami just crushed it, powdered it. It became powder, the whole paper. And in my mind, I was thinking, Swami, what are you doing? You're not preserving this, you're destroying it. But then I thought maybe I can use some tape to somehow stick back these pieces of paper. Swami picked up all those pieces, not even pieces, it was powder now. Put it in his mouth and began to chew and swallowed it. And again in my mind I thought, Swami, it's gone forever now. And then Swami says, this is the only way you can preserve my legacy. I woke up with tears in my eyes because I realized to preserve Swami's legacy, it's not about keeping his discourses. It's not about keeping his photos, keeping his videos. Yes, we can do that for our joy, for the satisfaction of our sense organs and the mind. But in Swami's own words, the only way to preserve his legacy, to preserve Sathya Sai, is to chew upon all that he has said and written, to swallow that, to digest it and make it part of every cell and every drop of blood in our body. If we don't do that, we are not preserving any legacy of Swami. I get tears because I realize how much time in my life I have wasted in satisfying my own senses and my own mind thinking that I am doing so much for Swami. It is time to start practicing what he said. And the first thing is to go inside. Go within. Everything is inside. Sai stands for see, always inside. And there's a reason why Swami tells that, even logically. Let me give you the example of Gautam Buddha. Think about it. Have the problems of old age, sickness and death gone? No. Then is Buddha a success story? Yes, Buddha is a successful being. Divine. How? When he didn't change the world, how did he become divine? The Buddha didn't change the world, he changed his world, and with that everything changed. When somebody changes their world, they are able to change the world as well. They are able to make an impact. They are able to inspire for centuries to come. We have to do everything possible. We have to put in all efforts to develop viveka, discrimination, right and wrong, good and bad. To develop vairagya, detachment. Then the Shad Sampatti which I spoke about. And mumukshatva. Intense yearning for Swami. People ask, I want to love Swami, I want to yearn for Swami, but how do I get that yearning? Well, my reply would be yearn for that yearning. Tell Swami every day, Swami, I'm not feeling as intense love for you that I should feel. Let me love you more, Swami, please. I pray for my job, I pray for relationships, I pray for money, I pray for health, I pray for 100 things. Why don't I pray for him? Why don't I pray for Swami? When I ask him, when I pray to him, for him, automatically yearning will come. Why will it not come? This is what is meant by going within. Practically, when we start going within, we will see everything from a different perspective. When difficulties come, we won't think, why are these difficulties coming? We won't think that this fellow is a very terrible man. He is a horrible boss. He is a terrible child, terrible parent. No. Because it's not about outside anymore, it's about going within. We start viewing at every situation with the perspective, what is it that I have to learn from this? Each of these experiences are being tailor-made for me, for the progress of my soul, for me to grow, to realize myself. And therefore, each experience that comes my way is a messenger from Swami with a message that I have to learn. And therefore, what is that message? That becomes our perspective when we start going within. We look at every life situation as a messenger and try to learn the message from that. And you know what? When we learn that message, the messenger just vanishes. I have seen that happening many times. A troublesome friend from whom I had to learn some message. The moment I learned that message, the friend is no longer troublesome. A horrible boss from whom I had to learn a message. Once I learned that message, I no longer face that. All life situations come as a message for us when we start going within. May we begin this journey if we have not yet started. May we continue to move along this journey, never getting discouraged or disheartened. And may we find the goal. The start and the finish are the same. The source and the goal are the same. And we need to complete this full circle. And to complete that full circle, we need to go within. Praying to Swami that our eyes are always turned within. That is samyak drishti or good vision. Our ears are always turned inward to listen to the voice of the conscience and not to the gossip of the world. Our tongue tastes only the sweet name of the Lord. It only brings out the sweet name of the Lord. Our skin feels only divine joy and not the pleasures of the flesh. May all our senses turn inward. May our mind turn inward. And may we discover our true selves. And then we will know that Swami is always with us. Because Swami is us. We are Swami. There's no difference between him and us. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.